Hi everyone, I'm Rincey and this is Rincey Reads. Today I'm going to be talking about part 2 of Saint Mazie by Jami Attenberg for the Reblog Book Club. There will be spoilers in here for the second part, so if you haven't read this book yet or you haven't read part 2 yet, I recommend saving this for later after you've read it. So a lot happens in part 2. I probably won't be discussing all of it because I don't want this to be like a half an hour video. The first thing I want to talk about is Jeannie. At the end of my last video, I made a little comment or left like a little question at the end of it talking about whether or not Jeannie would return to New York and be a part of the story, and we find out that she does, although not for very long. Jeannie ends up getting sick and injured while she's off traveling the country and ends up going back to New York, and we get a little bit of a glimpse of the story from Jeannie's side, which was really nice. It wasn't just like speculation on Mazie's part or anything like that, which I really enjoyed. But yeah, she ends up being courted again by Ethan, but she ends up just giving it all up and going back on the road, which I thought was really interesting. In the beginning of the book, the way Mazie is portrayed, it makes it seem like Mazie's the rebellious bad girl who like leaves her family behind to do her own thing, and then in the second part we're seeing more and more how it seems more like Jeannie is the one who's going to be leaving her family behind in the dust. Mazie's sticking around to take care of her family. It seems like the roles are a bit reversed, but I hesitate saying that because I feel like it's more just an example of people being more complex than you may have thought, and it's not easy to put people in these boxes of being purely good or being purely bad because we all have everything inside of us. But for me personally, I end up just sympathizing with Mazie a little bit more as being the one who sticks around with the family and takes care of Rosie and makes sure that everything is okay and kind of does what she's told. Like, Mazie's very much someone who constantly talks about how she hates being told what to do and she wants to do her own thing, but a lot of times she does kind of listen to Rosie and Louis. And when they ask her for help, she helps out, and when she knows there's something that they need, she does her best to try to fulfill that. The other character that I found super interesting in this part was Louis. I never really gave Louis much of a thought. Maybe it's because he wasn't discussed significantly in the first part that I never really thought about it, but when the time came and he like passed away and it was like hinted at that he might be some sort of like bookie or mobster or something, I was so surprised. Like, I was so surprised. Like, Louis seemed like such a good man, and then he has this whole side of him that he never had any idea about until he passes away and all of these people appear and Rosie and Mazie end up getting all this money from random people and things like that. It was just such an interesting turn that I just never expected, and it kind of makes me want to go back and reread part 1 to see if those seeds are being planted and I just completely missed out on it because I was too busy paying attention to Mazie, or if it's just one of those things where it's like, no, you had no idea because Mazie had no idea, since so much of this is told from the point of view of Mazie and from her diary. Maybe you're not supposed to expect any of it because it was completely unexpected to Mazie. So yeah, a lot happens in this part. Jeannie ends up coming home but then ends up leaving again. Louis ends up passing away, and Rosie's just dealing with the grief of losing so much in her life, and Mazie just has to help her the best that she can, is to help her try to get out of it. So it looks like at the end of this part they are moving back to New York City, which I kind of expected, but I thought it would just be Mazie moving out and going back to the city because clearly her life like is so entwined in that world that I knew she wasn't going to be staying on Coney Island forever. So yeah, those are my quick thoughts on the second part of Saint Mazie. If you're reading along, feel free to leave your comments down below letting me know what you guys thought of this part, as well as what you guys think is going to happen in the last part and how it'll all end, because I have no real idea how this is gonna go. So yeah, that's all I have for now, and thanks for watching.